Way better than Jay.
Northbridge Board of Selectmen's meeting will come to order. Please stand and join us for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. We have no approval of minutes tonight. Before we do get into the agenda, though, I did want to note a portion of this meeting is going to be a joint meeting. We'll have actually two separate joint meetings, part of this, which we'll get to in a little bit. But our first thing that we're going to cover tonight is a public hearing. We actually have three of them. I'll read the notice first and then ask for a motion to open. So let's see. Public hearing A, National Grid Poll Petition 1, number 313-03919, dated April 17th, 2026, 7 p.m. Cross Street, National Grid to install one JO pole on Cross Street beginning at a point approximately 126 feet northeast of the center line of the intersection of Linwood Ave and Cross Street. National Grid to install a new midspan pole P1-50 located roughly 47 feet south of P2 on Cross Street in Northbridge, seeking a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
And then I'll do a roll call. Selectman Paulus?
Yes.
Selectman Collins?
Yes.
Selectman Ampagumian?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. And with that, if there's a representative from National Grid, I'd like to invite you to come forward.
Okay.
Hearing none.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Well, we're gonna open up to the public.
Anyone from the public like to give a comment? Hearing none.
Then make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Selectman Ampagumian?
Yes.
Selectman Collins?
Yep.
Selectman Paulus?
Yes.
And I am also a yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So that is
It's not
public hearing
7:05.
one. Yep, we will wait a couple minutes
Go to
to
three.
do our next one. We're going to do resignations. First, B1, David Blavelt, Historical Commission. And
Motion.
then,
Motion to accept and send a letter of thanks?
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And then number 2, Caleb Smith, Youth Commission/Committee.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll also be sending him a letter.
Of course.
Your buddy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Down in DC now. And then let's see, I'm just going to do the town manager's annual appointments and ours as well. So we'll jump down to appointments C3, 2026 town manager's annual reappointments, vote to affirm.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we are going to jump down to item D, by the Board of Selectmen, 2026 Board of Selectmen's annual reappointments, vote to appoint.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do we want to do,
Sure.
and then, what,
That was Christine, for the number D.
there's 2 there. 1 and 2.
1 and 2. We
We're
did
gonna do
one.
them next. And then I'd like to invite Paula Dumont, who is looking to be appointed to the Historical Commission, as well as Christine Johnson, the Chair of the Historical Commission, if you'd like to come forward. We do have your information in our packets, but I'm going to turn it on over to you guys if you'd like to tell us a little bit about why you'd like to join the commission.
Just quickly, thank you very much. We request that you consider the appointment of Paula Dumont to the Historical Commission. As you know, we do have an opening, so filling it this evening will give us a full slate on the commission, and Paula has been quite a friend to not only the commission, helping us with a lot of the projects that we're working on, but also as a member of the Northbridge Historical Society.
Very much. Is there anything you'd like to add, Paula?
No, I'd like to invite the public to not only thank you for the Historical Commission voting for me to be on this, but also to look at the Historical Society webpage. I post a lot of things on there, and I would like the public to follow us and possibly join as a member in October.
Great. Thank you very much. With that, I'll turn it to the board for any questions or comments. Going to start down here with Selectman Paulus.
No questions, just thank you for coming forward, and I'm glad to hear this fills your board.
Selectman Collins.
No, thank you for stepping forward, and Christine says you're okay. It's okay with us.
Selectman Ampagumian.
Just one question. I know you love taking pictures. Were you
enhance your picture taking to the historical part so we can capture some of the areas again that we have?
I'm sorry, I have hearing aids, so.
Okay. About your photography that you like taking pictures.
Yeah.
Would you also use your skills to recapture some of the buildings that are preserved today?
I
It's like-
actually have been doing that. We did have a tour, went on a tour, and I took a bunch of pictures, and that was hosted prior to me having that webpage, but they're on there.
Okay.
But I've been walking around today, looking at all the pictures here, but I enjoy taking photography, so I would definitely be taking pictures of the buildings present.
Okay, thank you.
And then just going to note very quickly, I've known you for a little while. I think you're an amazing asset to this town. Glad to see that you're going to be on the board. And with that, I'll
Motion
entertain-
to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Thank you. So that concludes D, and the time is 7:06, so we're going to jump to our second public hearing, number 2312-83247, dated April 21st, 2026, 7:05 PM, Mendon Road. National Grid to install one geopole on Mendon Road, beginning at a point approximately 15 feet north of the center line of the intersection of Mendon Road. National Grid to install one geopole at an anchor and guy wire on Mendon Road in Northbridge, seeking a motion to open.
Motion open.
Second.
All those, Selectman Pagumian,
Yes.
Selectman Collins.
Yes.
Selectman Paulus.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Are there any comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, seek a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Selectman Paulus.
Yes.
Selectman Collins.
Yes.
Selectman Pagumian.
Yes.
And I'm also a yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then let's jump down to decisions. Item G, Pine Grove Cemetery deed, vote to approve the sale of lots for Paul Grimala, 2 lots, 77 for Ave South.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gonna do, citizens comment?
Or you can just see,
See?
I want you to use the ones that are not joint.
Next, we're going to do some more appointments or votes to affirm by the town manager. One, we're going to do Pamela Mason, Council on Aging, the administrative assistant, who is present, as well as Kelly Bowl, our COA director. I'd like to invite both of you forward right now. We do have your information in our packet, but I'm going to pass it on over to you guys if you'd like to share a little bit about yourself and anything that you'd like to add as well, Kelly.
Hi, thank you for having us. Kelly Bowl, Director of Council on Aging Senior Center. And this is one of my favorite parts of my job, is to come before you with an appointment and with your blessing this evening. I will be welcoming Pam onto our team. As you can see from her information that you have in your packet, that Pam is very familiar with the senior center. She was a former employee of Tri-Valley. She had been our Meals on Wheels coordinator for them. And when she left to take on a new role with a different agency, she had said to us on the way out the door, "I'll be back to volunteer." And she continued to do that over the past, how many years now? Three, at least 3, yes. So when this opportunity came up, she was very excited to put her information in, and she was among 11 others that came forward, and Pam rose to the top of those other candidates. So I'm very pleased to have Pam Mason here tonight for your approval.
Thank you very much. And if there's anything that you'd like to add, Pam? Or?
No, I'm actually blushing. Thanks, Kel. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for having me here. I'm very honored to be taking this position for the town of Northbridge at Plummer's Place.
Thank you. And I'll turn it on over to the board now. I'm going to start down here with Selectman Ampagumian.
Actually, your resume is quite incredible.
Thank you.
And I think with your credentials that you show, it will enhance, especially when we get the new senior center. There'll be a lot of work to be done once that is up and running. And welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to it.
Selectman Collins.
Yeah, I completely agree with Selectman Ampagumi reading your resume. It's amazing. I think you're a great asset to the senior center, and got my vote.
Selectman Paulus.
Yes, resume's wonderful, and it's always exciting to work with seniors, but with our new senior center project coming online, this is a perfect time, and your skill set seems to fit very well, so thank you and welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Thank you.
I agree with everything that my colleagues said up here tonight. You have Kelly's endorsement. I saw that one of your references was Ms. Cowan. So you have both their endorsements. You have mine. Thank you for stepping up and wish you the absolute best.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then with the time being 7:11, we can get our final public hearing underway. The third one of the evening, 313-03989, dated April 22nd, 2026, 7:10 p.m. Main Street, National Grid to install one JO pole on Main Street, beginning at a point approximately 160 feet east of the center line of the intersection of Arcade Street and Main Street. National Grid to install a new midspan pole P34-50 on West Main Street in Northbridge, Mass. Seeking a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Selectman Impagumian.
Yes.
Selectman Collins.
Yes.
Selectman Paulus.
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Any questions or comments from members of the public? Hearing none. Seeking a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Selectman Paulus.
Yes.
Selectman Collins.
Yes.
Selectman Impagumian.
Yes.
And I am also a yes.
Make a motion to approve National Grid's permit.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we'll jump back down to appointments. A lot of jumping around tonight to C2. Mark Rampino, Heavy Equipment Operator. For the Highway, present is Jamie, our DPW Director. I'll invite you guys forward. Again, we do have your information in our packet, but I'll pass it on over to you two gentlemen.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm here to present Mark Rampino to fill our last employment spot we have at the Highway Department. We're back up to full ranks after this, hopefully. Mark comes to us with a wealth of knowledge, as you can see in his packet. More importantly, he's worked for another DPW and is fully licensed, so we have a full-blown heavy equipment operator. We don't have to send to school or anything, with experience, and look forward to his appointment.
Thank you very much. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Thank you for having me sit before you, and I'm just very looking forward to, my new endeavor here and, the challenges that come with the position and, the completion of everything. And, yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. Gonna start down here, Selectman Paulus.
The two most impressive things in your resume, and Jamie, I think, would agree, experienced and licensed, so thank you. Very, very glad to have you.
Thank you.
Selectman Collins.
In reading your resume, I was amazed. I mean, your knowledge goes from one side to the other. It's incredible. And if this will keep him out of a bucket loader, we're happy. Good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Selectman Ampagumian.
I'm just curious, on your reference, you say you were on the Coast Guard Auxiliary, Boston, Mass., and part-time Department of Homeland Security. What did you do? If you can say it.
I can't say too much, but it's,
Okay.
actually have a meeting tomorrow night. We meet at the Uxbridge Police Department, and we just do a bunch of stuff and support, and we just, I've been doing it for probably 3 years now. So part-time.
The reason why I ask is we're having our massive 4th of July celebration on July 18th, and we're closing off Linwood Ave. Your wealth of knowledge and what you have learned there would help us in readiness. I thank you for stepping forward, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
No questions for me, as all my colleagues had an outstanding resume. I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, and
Thank you
congrats.
very much.
And then we've already done our appointments, so we will be doing item E. So this is the first part of our joint meeting. So this will be between the Board of Selectmen and the Trustee of Soldier Memorials. We have 2 open trustee seats, and there are 2 candidates that are looking to be appointed to those 2 seats. We have Thomas Valdivia and Christopher Zanchi. I'd like to invite the trustees to come up here, and I believe Christopher is here tonight. I do not believe Thomas is, but if Christopher, you'd like to take a seat up front. And we'll just give you a couple minutes, Christopher, to basically introduce yourself, explain why you'd like to be a trustee, after which time we'll turn it back over to the trustees if they have any questions, the board if they have any questions. If not, we'll just entertain a motion to appoint.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Christopher Zanke, I reside at 9 Jefferson Ave. I served on the board for the last 2 years. I just happened to be doing a lot of travel for work and missed the opportunity to get on the ballot. So, yeah, I'd just like to continue being one of the younger folks in the crew and carrying the torch forward to try to preserve our memorials. So, yeah, it's something I'm passionate about, though, as a retiree myself. So, yeah, anyways, that's pretty much that in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. And did the trustees have any questions that they'd like to ask or any comments?
Could I comment, can we rescind the? You have any questions?
Chris has been on the board before, and he's done a good job, so, and I know Tom Valdivia because it's Timmy's brother-in-law, so I know him. I have no problem with the 2 choices. I'm gonna miss the one that's resigning, Ken. Ken's done a great job, but things have not worked the way probably he wants to, so that's why he's resigning.
Thank you very much. Perfect. And if there's nothing else further from the trustees, unless the board members have any comments, ready to entertain a motion for both.
Motion to approve both.
Second.
And then we're going to do just roll call down the line.
Jeffrey Mannion?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Ken Harrigan, yes.
Dick Trier, yes.
Tom Farley, yes.
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 Perfect. It's
Thank you very
approved.
much.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
So that finishes our first joint appointment. The second one is going to be between the Board of Selectmen and School Committee, who similarly, I'll invite the School Committee to come up and sit up here with us.
Okay.
What we're going to do is invite all 4 of the candidates to come and take a seat up front. We'll give each of the candidates 2 minutes to introduce themselves, basically tell us a little bit about you, why you'd like to be on the school committee, excluding the fact that you may have a student within the school system. After you've had the opportunity to introduce yourselves, I will pass it back over to the school committee to ask any questions. I'll pass it over to the board to ask any questions, after which time I'll entertain any and all nominations. Any candidate that is nominated and seconded, same thing, we'll do a roll call for those candidates until one candidate has 5 out of the 8 required votes. Does that make sense to everyone? Perfect. With that, just going to go down the list, and please forgive me if I have the name incorrect. I'm famous for getting them wrong. I have Erin Meager.
That's me.
And then I have Jill Leonard. I have Padratic Pomeroy.
Close enough.
And Ellen Scheibel.
Scheibel.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to give each of you 2 minutes. We're going to start just on my left, so we will start with Erin. And you can basically just explain a little bit who you are, why you want to be on the school committee, and we'll work our way down, after which time I'll turn it over to the school committee for their questions. And you may begin whenever you're ready.
My name is Erin Meager. I reside at 67 Thurston Ave here in Whitensville. A little about myself. I was born in the town, grew up in town. My family is part of the town. We've settled here back in the 1700s, 1800s. So we've been around for a while. I currently hold a position on the Board of Health. I am professionally, I'm a pediatric and adult nurse practitioner. I work for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I also am finishing my doctoral degree currently over at UMass in Worcester at the medical school. And I'm interested in being on the school committee just because there's a lot that goes into it, and I know one of the sticking points currently is that there's a lot of kids with special needs or additional needs here in the town. And one of the things that I've been working on for my doctoral thesis is something called social determinants of health, which is a lot about food insecurity, transportation insecurity, and my doctoral thesis is on epigenetics, which is how things in your external environment relate to your chronic disease management. And one of those things is part of that is education and being able to make sure that every child has the education that they need and that we have all the sources in place in order to make that as successful as possible.
Thank you very much. And then next we'll do Mr. Pomeroy.
Hi, she has my vote, by the way. Just saying. Right? Hi, my name is Patrick Pomeroy. I live at 33 Granite Street here in Whitensville. I have not been here since the 1700s, but we've lived in town since 2012. Been part of the school system, part of the community since then. My work history that I think would be beneficial to the school communities. I work in public safety for the last 30 years. I work in a position where I deal with budgets, staffing, quality assurance, transparency, accountability, and public trust. I think that I could bring that to the board as well. I don't. I know we're not supposed to talk about our children in school, really, but we do have a family that we are participating in school, including special needs. We have a big family and a lot at stake here, and I think the school is the heart of the community. I've been saying it for years. Without the school being bolstered up and bringing in more kids, we lose so much from the community, and that's why I want to be part of it. And if I can't get appointed now, I will run again in the future.
Thank you very much. And then Ms. Scheibel.
Yes,
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank you. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ellen Scheibel. I live at 62 Samuel Drive here in Whitensville. I am a college professor at Bridgewater State University. I've been there for 15 years. I'm in the English department, but my field is Irish Studies, which is why I knew how to pronounce your name. I'm interested in the position because I work in higher education. And recently, I volunteered to go to the middle school where we had students come and meet with folks from the community to talk about their career path and their jobs. And so I dressed up in my regalia, and students came over and really didn't know what I was or what I was doing, but they were interested in talking to me about how much time I spend at my job, how much money I make, of course, and whether or not it's interesting. And I realized that, and I think that's the first time that the middle school has done an event like that, and I realized that getting to know community members who participate in education is really important for our young people and our students. I'm interested more specifically in retention. I do work in retention in higher education. I'm interested in things like high impact practices. I've been the director of the honors program at Bridgewater State and served on many committees over the years. And I'm interested in keeping students in our community and not losing them to places like Grafton. I've had students who are friends with my daughters, best friends, in fact, who have left and gone to other school systems. We've had phenomenal experiences in the school, and I'd like to work harder to make sure that everybody else has those phenomenal experiences and that we retain as many of our students as we can. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And then Ms. Leonard.
Hi, Jill Leonard, 638 Carpenter Road. I am also a townie, I guess you would say. Class of 95. My whole family still lives in town. My in-laws still live in town. Being a part of Northbridge is a very big part of my life. I am an educator of 22 years. I have my master's in special education and a second master's in reading instruction. I am very passionate about being an educator. to teach is to touch a life forever. I know that sounds hokey, but I do feel like our job as the committee, besides budget, besides policy, besides staffing, is also to, as you had said, bring the community together and really have all the committees together. I want kids to stay in Northbridge. I want them to be retained. I want our early literacy to close the gaps in the reading that we see. And I feel that my knowledge and my experience and my training would be of value of analyzing data of a third grader who is struggling to read and coming up with a plan with the committee, with the schools, to try to close that gap.
Thank you very much. And now that we've heard kind of a little bit from each candidate about them, I'm going to turn it over to the school committee to ask any questions that they may see appropriate. I will note that if a question is asked to one of the candidates in front of us, it must be asked to all of them. We'll start just going left to right and then right to left for fairness. I'm going to do the school committee first before we do the board. We'll start with, just down at the end, Mr. Cowan.
I'm wondering if you had any specific experiences or involvement with the district or any of the three schools in the district in the whole time that you've been living here. You could highlight that may or may not relate to attracting you to want to interview for a position.
So I am a parent of a student in the town. My daughter goes to the private school, but we have had very good experiences with the elementary school. She required some additional testing in order to get some additional services, and it was very easy to navigate that and to be able to get the testing completed and a report done and very well explained to us about what to do next.
And Mr. Pomeroy?
Can you repeat your question so I can answer it, right?
I asked, do you have any specific experiences or involvement with the district or any of the three schools that
Let me hear.
personal or otherwise, that
screen.
kind of your audience would be interested in doing this?
I have had 6 children go through the school system, 2 that are still in it, one being a special needs student in the elementary school. So we've had a wealth of experience with the whole elementary school, middle school, high school, like I said, including special needs. We've seen a lot of changes, especially with special needs, over the last 10 years, and that was one of the major pushes. But honestly, the reason I wanted to volunteer was exactly the reason you volunteered, because I went to that same middle school event and saw that what they got from this event, and I was like, it's time for me to, most of my kids are out, and it's time for me to actually get involved and do something.
Nope, I'm good. Yeah, thanks. I have 2 girls in the elementary school. As I mentioned earlier, one of their best friends did choose to leave the school and go to Grafton, and I started just thinking about what that means. I do think that retaining students isn't just about money or economics or budget. It's also about relationships and community. And I think it would be really great to be able to watch our children go through the school system together without leaving for 2 years in middle school to go someplace else and then come back to high school. I'd like to see it flow through. I also have experience with my oldest child had a brand new teacher this year. We got the placement notice, I think, maybe 3 days before school started. And it was one of the best experiences that she had had. And I think the more also that we can woo younger, innovative staff, that would be really interesting to me. I'd like to work on that. Lastly, I saw I think it was the PTA maybe, I'm not sure who did a shoe drive, and I was kind of blown away at how many people need shoes. I know that might sound really naive, But it wasn't just for new shoes. It was like, we'll take whatever shoes you have, because we've got all these children that don't have shoes. To me, that's, it was a wonderful drive, I think, put on by the parents, and something that I would love to be a part of. I thought it was really profound, what we did, and I think more things like that, and learning about what the community needs is really helpful.
Hi. No, I'm okay, thank you. So I as well, I have 3 children in the schools. I have one who graduated 2 years ago, one who graduated this spring. She's heading off to Providence College in the fall. And I have a sophomore who's going to be a junior. I have been in all of the schools. I have volunteered in NES back when it was Balmer, and the middle school and the high school. My kids have all played sports. They've been in the band, so I am here a lot. I know how expensive things are. I know the budget of a school is a living, breathing document, and it's unlike any other. But I have seen with when we have had and when we have not, and the school has so many wonderful things to offer the kids, and my kids have been so blessed to be here. And I think that being on this committee can just help to further that movement, and not just for my kids, but for every kid who moves into Northbridge should get that same experience.
Any further questions, Mr. Cowan? No? Thank you. Ms. Booker? And we'll start with Ms. Leonard this time.
Okay, great. So it's a bit of a two-parter. So
I'm only gonna do one. I'm only kidding.
That's okay.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
So please explain what you think the role of public education plays in society, and what do you see as the maybe 1 to 3 biggest challenges facing our schools in fulfilling that promise?
So public education
Yeah.
is, for me, really everything. It's the catalyst of so many lives. And if it's done incorrectly, the impact and the negative impact is so powerful that sometimes it's hard to come back from. To one thing I'm passionate about, and I do feel it's not just unique to Northbridge, is early literacy skills. And the gap in early literacy skills are alarming. I feel that you might not think, oh, they're a little bit behind grade level. 3rd and 4th grade teachers who never had to teach a child to read before is now teaching kids to read. It was that old saying, grade 2, learn to read. 3rd grade and up, read to learn. And that's not the case anymore. The reading gap is just getting bigger and bigger. And that can also lend to their behaviors in the school. Behaviors are an issue, and behaviors impact students who are trying to learn, that quiet kid who just is kind of falling through the cracks because he's not speaking up for himself, and advocating is hard for them. But a lot of the times the kids are behavioral, or they're in 4th grade and they can't read, and they're upset. And that's where they've been failed, and that's impacting them. That's impacting their view on education, on teachers, on thinking that they're not going to be able to do anything in the future. And I think another issue is the retention of kids in Northbridge. The more kids that leave Northbridge, the less money that is going to be coming into Northbridge, the less opportunities we have to compete with BBT and Grafton. So it's really a full circle. So really starting from that preschool age up until high school, each stage in education kind of at Northbridge has its own issues that impact each other.
I think I'm good. Okay. I think I have it. I think the value of public education in society is to pursue a regional mission. I think it's different than private education. Private education also has a sort of national and international footprint, and I think it's worth it. It costs a lot of money to have those footprints. Public education, though, has a smaller footprint because it has a regional mission. And I think paying attention to what we do, not just in the larger part of the community, but very small parts, very locally, like what we participated in at the middle school. Those are not just moments to, share things with young people, but it's also to meet people who are educating young people, meet the teachers that I'm sure you did too, shook hands with, meet the superintendent who I hadn't seen in person before. Opportunities like that, I think, are key. I think we should have more of them. I think we should talk about them. But it's a regional mission. I think that's what public education does. Society's a big thing, so it does a lot more things, I guess, societally. But I think regional missions in Massachusetts are important. So I think, there's no way I can compete with literacy. Literacy is the most important thing. I can tell you that when you get to college, it's not really that much better anymore. With the dawn of AI and the years that we lost to COVID, it's really hard. We have a lot of students at Bridgewater who struggle to read properly, and not just with phonetics or pronunciation, but with comprehension. Reading comprehension is key, right? Being able to read a paragraph and understand what it means, not just say the words out loud. So I'm very interested in making sure that we start that early. So I can't compete necessarily with literacy. I can say, though, that artificial intelligence is killing us. And I'm just going to say it openly, and that I do think that AI is a huge challenge. I'm not sure that that's our regional challenge. I think that's an international challenge. That's a global challenge. At least immediately it's a state challenge that we need to address head on. Regionally, small, I think our biggest challenge is poverty. And I think we have to speak openly about it, and I think we have to address it. And I think we have to think about how to bridge those gaps between folks who really can't afford certain resources and access to things, and figure out ways to keep people who can in the community, because when you keep the people who can afford it in the community, you create more opportunities for people who can't. I think that's very important.
No, thank you. Public education in society. When I talked about schools being the heart of our community, but public education is the heart of society. If we're all lucky, we all have the opportunity to experience public education, go through it, and it creates who we are as citizens in this town, in this state, in this country. And at a local level, at Northbridge, it is definitely, again, the heart of our community. Some of the challenges we do have are that I see with public education, and is that we have an increasing number of special ed children here that need services that we need to be able to serve better, that we have to really take a look at and determine, are we giving them enough to give them the same access to education that all kids that are not enrolled in special education are getting. It's one of our biggest challenges here is special education, and that includes behavioral health and as well as medical special education. Those are all included in special education, and it's one of our biggest challenges here in town, and it's one of the things that I think we need to really focus on.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, I had a lot of questions. Okay. So please explain what you think the role of public education plays in society. What do you see as the, say, 1 to 3 biggest challenges that are facing our schools in fulfilling that promise?
So I wouldn't necessarily say public education, but I think that education in general, being able to educate students in a town, is the most important thing. Making sure that children can do math and reading and are able to expand on the basis of the things that they learn in the beginning which is what the grade levels are for, is the most important thing. There's no education that's ever been wasted, whether you decide later in life you want to specialize in history or medicine or anything else. So we need to just look at, as a town, some of the things that are the hurdles, whether it's having enough staffing, having enough funding, and then looking at the other options, other things that create hurdles. A lack of resources, a lack of community support, a lack of parental support, and then making sure that we're meeting the needs of the special needs students as well as I'm going to say patients on accident, as well as students that are not in any special needs classes, making sure that everybody has a level playing field to get what they need to have a successful education.
Any further questions, Ms. Booker?
No, that's good, thank you.
Absolutely. Ms. Laporte?
My question's kind of short and sweet. Stability. I have found by being on the school committee, I've served on boards before, but it's so much different than other boards. Are you prepared to only finish out this term, or because I know you didn't run for re-election, that's how I ended up here. I just want to know if your plans just include this year temporarily helping people out, or if you intend to stay with this and help us make a stable board.
So I started my town appointments on the Board of Health, and I was appointed for a one-year term. And then I was reappointed for a three-year term, and I think my name is probably somewhere lost in these reappointments tonight for my third term, on the Board of Health here in town. And then I've also been a member of the Nursing Honor Society nationally, and I've been on that board for 26 years. So I have a track record of longevity on the boards that I work on.
As I stated earlier, that even if I am appointed, I would absolutely consider running for election later, but if I'm not, I definitely want to run for election anyway. This is the first municipal board that I have attempted to get on. In my professional career, I'm on several different committees, statewide and community-wide, working in public safety. So my work, I stay active on those boards for years. So this is just the beginning for me. I'm not going anywhere.
100% committed. Would love to stay on the school committee until my kids are maybe through college, maybe longer. I'd love to do it. I'm on the, I had to write down the initials because I can never remember the Whitensville Downtown Crossing Historic District Commission. That might need a new name, y'all, but that is the name of it. So I'm starting my second term with those folks. We had a very successful event last year. We've worked really hard to connect with the community, so I've worked with them for 3 years. I'm starting another 3-year term. Yeah, 100%.
Yes, my plan is, if I get appointed tonight, to run again in the spring. I also serve on the Conservation Preservation Committee every first Monday of every month. And I'm starting, I believe, my 4th year. It's been a great experience, something that I didn't know that I would love as much as I do. But it's very interesting, and it's really, what I've learned from that committee is that they are committed to making this town better and just preserving the things that we have. But yes, 100%, I intend on running in the spring.
Can I make a comment to them? Just, I love your passion, all of you. If we can't appoint all 4 of you, please don't just walk away. Get involved some other way, because there's so many ways to get involved. That's all.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? That's
No,
all?
done.
Great, thank you. And Ms. Alden?
Yes, all right. So my first question is,
what do you understand your role to be as a school committee member, and how will you communicate that to the town members itself who don't actually understand what the role of a school committee member is? I think it's me. So I know the three main roles and responsibilities of a school committee member is policy, maintaining, reviewing policies that are best, of course, for our students, but are also aligned with state requirements. Budget, as I spoke of before, the budget can change on a dime with public education. A new student moving in, a new student moving out, and staffing, hiring, and evaluating the superintendent. I feel as though, again, I do have some kind of knowledge in that regard, as when she sets her goals and how she is planning on her action plan for that. That is speaking my language. If a parent were to come up to me and complain about something that I knew wasn't in those three lanes, I would advise them to start at their school. Start with their teacher, if that's where the issue is. And then the teacher will go to the principal, and then the principal will go higher. There is a chain of command, and if everybody ran to the school committee and problems can get solved at a lower level. I don't mean lower in the derogatory way, at a more communal level. Start with who your child is with every day. And if the solution doesn't come, then of course keep moving on. Be an advocate for your child. That's our job, is to advocate for our kids, but to make sure that you're going through the proper channels of finding out how to solve that problem.
It's a bit unfair that you had to go first. You clearly know all the answers. It's challenging. I've not been on the school committee, so I don't want to reiterate policy, budget, staffing. It's perfect. Obviously, those are things that you do, and I would be, I think, very prepared to get engaged in that conversation. I came in here thinking, though, about the role of the school committee to be a liaison between the town and the school system. So I think that happens in many different ways. I am glad to hear that we should consider the chain of command. I think that's actually very true, something that maybe at the college level I don't do enough and I probably should do more of. I think that's true. I think also, though, we see people that are part of our community that have kids in our school system day in and day out, maybe at events at the middle school, maybe at a soccer match, maybe at the chorus concert where, Adam was there talking about what was going to be on the ballot. So I think, you meet people, you talk to people, you shake hands, you kiss babies. I think you guys probably know about that. But I think there's a lot that you can do to create a relationship with your community. I think one of the most important things for me as a parent, if I'm putting that other hat on, is to make sure that you know where to send people when they have questions. So the chain of command is important. Knowing the chain of command, knowing those email addresses and maybe those names, it's really hard sometimes to find that information. And I think if you do know it and you can share that with people, and it makes sense to share it with people. I had to contact somebody about a bus. I didn't know how to get in touch with the bus folks, but had a whole list of parents on Facebook who were like, I've got your back. Here's the bus number, here's the lady, tell her I called you, all of those things. So I think that having that information at hand, being a liaison that can share that openly, is important. The last thing I would just mention, because I've not been on the school committee, but I would hope that one of the responsibilities that we have is transparency. I think transparency in everything that we do in our civic roles is really important. I think it's underrated and often not practiced, and I think we need to make sure we do that.
Well, the three things that are the job. Correct. All right. So, obviously, policy, budget, and hiring the superintendent and making sure that her goals are being worked on and that the district's plan is moving forward. As far as interacting with the public and being questioned by the public or parents, or I think the biggest, obviously, things to remember are transparency, which is very important, but just to be listening. People so often just want to be heard and understood, even if you can't give them the answer that they need. At least they have somebody that they can talk to and know that they've been heard. And then, obviously, knowing where to put those concerns and complaints to get them a timely answer. And obviously, like I said, transparency, just, I think that's probably the most important part, so.
So I would say both in my professional career and then here being on the Board of Health here in town, you know, at the end of the day, we're talking about human beings. And one of the ways that I've always practiced in my career is that everybody is somebody's somebody. And so these students that we're looking at, they're someone's child. And so we don't always have the right answers. And sometimes it takes us a long time to gather the correct information in order to come up with our hypothesis on how to get the right answer. But knowing who to call that may know the right answer or have more information than you do to be able to help you come up with your answer is the way that we should be practicing and being as a board member on the school committee.
I do have one more, if that's
Absolutely,
okay.
please, yeah.
So we worked effectively together last year, both as a school committee and with the two other primary boards, the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, to support the school and secure the override. This occurred despite, at times, having differing personal opinions. How will you be able to work with others when your preferences do not align with what is best for the school?
So I think the best way to do that and being on other boards, that my opinions or my feelings could be something different than what other people on the board are thinking or where they're going to be voting. Always being respectful, taking in everyone's account and where they're coming from. People are passionate about different things for different reasons, and so, you know, just having human decency and respect for other people that are on your board and hearing them out and letting them speak is the most important thing.
Absolutely. Again, reflecting on what you said, communication, respectful, honest, open communication with the other board members. We're not always going to be on the same page, but we all have the same goals, and that is to serve the community. And so we all have to remember that when we're working together, that we have the same goal, and even though we may have different ways of getting there, we have to work together and get that job done, which you did.
I'm interested in the part of the question that says that when your preferences do not always align with what is right for the school, because my guess is that there's actually a lot of controversy about what is right for the school. Mm-hmm. So it's not, my guess would be that it's not just about your preferences, but it's also about thinking about what it means for things to be right for the school. I think those are good conversations to have. I think you have to be able to have those conversations without resolution. You're not always going to resolve it, not in the moment, not in that instant. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes it takes years, but you have to be able to talk about it regardless. Just like the override failed and then it passed, those were like, it was an amazing thing to watch happen. Besides putting, you know, a sign in my yard in a part of the community where a lot of people voted against it, I listened and watched those conversations unfold. I think at the level of a school committee, you have those conversations with anyone regardless, even if you disagree, and you listen and you're okay with not having resolution. I think the other key thing, and I think this was why it was so important to have presence at something like a chorus concert when we were putting the override on the ballot. That was a huge moment. It was really important because people could go up to that table while their kids were in there practicing and say, tell me more about it. Educating people on what the issues really are, right? We can talk openly, we can talk generally, we can say what we think the role of education is in society. It's a great question, but what is really happening, right? In those minor spaces, maybe clarify that so that everyone's not just getting their information from Facebook, which is where we all do sometimes anyway, but what are the real things happening, and how do we educate that, right? How do we go door to door? I think we work to do that, and my guess is that that's what you guys did, and it was outstanding. We just keep educating on the reality of it. So be okay talking without resolution, and make sure that we're educating people on the facts, the actual facts, and the minutia of the facts.
Being on a committee, you're never going to agree 100% with everybody, and like, you're never going to agree with everybody. I guess I teach my students, if I teach you anything in 180 days, it's to be kind and respectful and to listen. And that is how you're gonna have open communication, where people feel that they are in a safe place to share what their thoughts are. So I guess not everybody's gonna agree, and if the agreement is not what you, or the decision was not what you had hoped, your job still is to make Northridge schools the best that they can be, and you put all of your efforts into what the committee has decided to do that.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Going to start with Selectman Paulus? Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you all for your interest. And I agree with what Ham Laporte said, that regardless of what happens here tonight, I hope that the remaining three are involved in some way. It's a very strong pool of candidates here. Many of you mentioned the things, override tied to the budget, and a lot of you spoke eloquently about special ed. And in our budget talks over the last couple of years, a big driver for the override were positions required to be in compliance with special ed. So my question is going to be kind of flipped. With that being said, and balancing that requirement that the state places upon us, how would you ensure that curriculum policies also support the academic growth and engagement of general ed students who are not on IEPs? Because I think a lot of that is tied to retention too. I think kids are leaving who may not be kids getting those services. So I don't know, start here.
Tier 1 instruction, a strong Tier 1 instruction is the best way that we're gonna meet all of the needs of our students. The stronger the Tier 1 instruction is, the more hopefully the Tier 2 instruction, the kids will be, that group will get smaller, and the Tier 3 will get smaller as well. I think that we need to make sure that we are providing the teachers with a curriculum that is, allows them to do that, and also the training and the support to do that. With regards to special education, there are sometimes that the gaps start very young, and the gaps just get bigger and bigger, so that Tier 3 just becomes larger than projected it could have been. I think that we need to keep that, but keeping when they get older, we need to keep the programs, the AP classes, we need to keep all of those available, and the less that we have of that, the less that our kids are going to stay. Kids want to take the AP classes, or they want to do, I mean, foods was a hit this year, who knew, you know, woodworking, that's number one. So I think that, yes, we have to make sure that we are in compliance. We have a new demographic as well. Yale population is increasing as well, so that's kind of taking away some of the staffing that we need. But the best that we can do to keep class sizes small, support staff up, that way that we can give as much equal attention to kids who are not on academic IEPs.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you for that. I think the first stop is always with the educators, so I think open conversations with teachers is important, and any way you can do it, however you're going to do it. I think thinking about things like AP classes for retention is wonderful. What we might call something like that in what I do is a high impact practice, so we call it a HIP And what HIPs do is they retain across the board students. So not just students at one level, not just general education students, but they work to retain our most minoritized students, our students who are at the margins, our special ed students, by the nature of what that practice is. So in secondary education or higher education, that might be something like an honors program. It might be something like study abroad. It might be something like an internship program. Those are programs that I think you can, with parent involvement, sometimes put in place in a very economically friendly way. And there are ways of retaining students across the board, not just one kind of student. So I would be interested in doing a curriculum audit. I would be interested in seeing what currently exists to educate myself, obviously others. I would be interested in thinking about spaces in that curriculum where high impact practices exist. So where do we see spaces that speak across the board to the different tiers of students and work to retain all of them? And how do we boost those moments? And I don't mean to keep going back to this middle school event because I know it's like beating a dead horse, but it really was a profound moment for me. It's one of the first engagements with the middle school that I'd had. I'd only been inside the middle school one other time. This was the second time, and part of the reason I wanted to do that is because I have a fourth grader, and so I'm curious in 2 years what's gonna happen. And I think that event, right, of bringing all of the students in the 7th grade class, was it, in groups, every single student, to speak to 10 different adults that are representing what they do with their lives, that's a high impact practice. That speaks across the board to everybody. Does everybody need a job? Probably. I mean, God love them if they don't, but they probably do. Does everybody, maybe want to think about what they're gonna do after high school? Probably. And these middle school students thinking about it early, that gives them discourse to do it then later. I think that's something that I would call a high impact practice. AP classes are high impact practices. I'm curious in how we might, when we look at the curriculum, build those in. That's not about grades. It's not about achievement at that level. It's about offering opportunities that allow students across the board to access different parts of education. Like, again, study abroad, right, is one of those things. So if you can take a group of students at the high school level to England, it's hugely transformative. It changes their entire lives before they graduate. It almost always sends them to college. It's just one of those things. So I'm curious about how we might put that to play in our curriculum as it stands now.
Thank you.
I think the most important part would be to gather enough data to really determine the answer here, because I don't have it. And to start with, we would start with, obviously, the superintendent, whose goals and the curriculum, everything that she is working on, to get the information. I think that we talk to the students, which we have in the past. You are familiar with, that's how we ended up with programs like Foods back in here, is by student engagement. I think that's taking the staff information, the faculty, trying to get all that to determine, like, how are we going to retain these kids? How are we going to give them the best education that are not in special education? We need to really reach out and get all the data. I don't have all that answered right now, so I'd have to really get that information.
Thank you.
So I have these 3 other lovely candidates I have to follow after all of that information. I would say start simple and just ask the students some of the things that they're interested in. A simple survey out to the students via their emails or however, to just get them to fill it out and just ask them what are some things that are currently offered that you are enjoying, and what are some things that aren't currently offered that you think would make your school career more successful, and then figuring out a way of how we can incorporate those into the curriculum.
Thank you. I'm good.
Selectman Collins.
First off, thanks, you took my question.
Sorry,
That's okay, I have others.
minds think alike.
So, as we've seen in the last 2 years, we've had an opportunity where 3 boards work together for one goal. How do you see going forward, working with other boards and committees to make this a better, stronger community school system?
So I would say that I would do it the same way that that we practice on the Board of Health and the other boards that I sit on, getting all the information that we need in order to make a decision, and then just taking all of those pieces and figuring out the end goal, and coming up with a way to meet the goal and the needs of the school and the students, but first, of course, gathering all the information.
Thank you. So, a lot of lessons were learned between 2 years ago and then, or last year and then this year, on how to not get something passed and how to get something passed. And the biggest piece, as you were talking about, is the boards communicating and working together. And it started the day after the failed override the first year, when people started to really get those committees going, the subcommittees, and the conversation started, and working together. And that is the reason that it passed. It's because of that collaboration between the three boards. And I think that it would be a misstep to go backwards and to try to do this independently again. I think in the future, that's the transparency, that's the communication that we need in order to get the school moving forward. Because as we all sat here during the meeting, this 5-year Band-Aid we talked about, that clock is already ticking, and we need to be prepared for when we need to move forward for the next cycle.
Yeah, excellent question. On the Whitensville Downtown Crossing Historic District Commission, we did work.
Do that well.
I've taught myself. We did work very closely with the Historic Commission to build an event that we kind of co-hosted that was called Heritage Day last summer. We're hoping to do it again in the fall. It's just a very small example, but it is one way that we had boards working together. What we did, what we prioritized was making sure that we understood the strength of each board. Not every board, not every committee brings the same group of strengths to those conversations. I think it's important to identify what those are, make sure that you're keeping them in mind. Also, I don't think working together always has to be the same way every time. I think there are ways to collaborate individually. I think there are ways to have, I'm sure you do, but larger Zoom meetings, not always in person. There are ways to make sure that people are involved. But I think knowing the strengths of each committee and what you bring is really essential to that conversation.
Great answers. Collaboration is key, and I feel like we really did see the difference from 2 years ago to this year, and it needs to continue. And I think that the ultimate goal of everybody in this room is to make Northbridge the best that it can be. That is the town, that is the senior center, that is the schools, that is all components, all parts of the school the town working together for that common goal. Is it gonna be a smooth ride every time? Absolutely not. But I think if we keep that goal on the table in view, that great things like this budget override, come on, that was awesome. That was a great success story, so thank you guys for working together to do that.
Selectman Ipagumian.
I'd like to thank all four of you for stepping forward for this position. The question I have is, with the failing grades across our nation and the Commonwealth, how will you work with the curriculum director and the school committee to increase those scores?
I think it's me. Yep. I love curriculum. I know that sounds dorky. I've served on many curriculum committees. Reading is fundamental across all boards, for all subjects, but also for self-esteem. It impacts everything. So I feel like working with the curriculum committee, the curriculum director, and really looking at the data. What has worked? What hasn't worked? What are we doing now? And let's look at our MCAS scores. Let's look at our DIBEL scores. Let's look at our scores in the middle school. What do we have, and what is working, and what's not working? And really being honest, and then being
I don't want to say creative, but curriculum is not inexpensive. But finding a way that we could find a curriculum or modify the curriculum that we have and implement it in a way that it reaches all of the students that are sitting in front of us. I mean, curriculum should be a living document. It's the children, every year you get a different group of kids in front of you, that curriculum. But that also, I think, would be helpful for teachers to get training in ways of adapting curriculum and understanding that it's okay to use their professionalism and their expertise in making sure that they hit the needs of all the learners that are sitting in front of them. But I think curriculum really is something that we do need to look at, and I think that the teachers here love to teach. They stay. The teachers who have been here through the thick and thin, they want to see. No one doesn't want to see their kids' success, their kids make progress, not just for themselves, but to see Tommy's gonna go to college. He's gonna go to high school. Like, that is our goal. That's why teachers are doing it. But we can't do it alone. We do need a curriculum that supports the teachers in a way, and hopefully this committee can start looking at that now that the override has passed, and come up with committees, maybe with teachers, school committee members. I feel as though the school committee could be more present in some of the things at the schools, whether it be leadership meetings, just to even hear, just to be more educated, so we're not only hearing the things when they come and present the data. So I think that would be something that would be beneficial as well in seeing the curriculum in action and looking at the data, following a class for a year. I digress, but yes. Did I answer your question, or did I go on my tangent? Sorry, okay.
You did great, you did great. Of course you answered the question. You can answer every single one of these questions. You did a great job. It's a really funny question for me because I'm on the other side. So I'm thinking about the fact that Harvard just voted to limit the number of A's that they give, right? Because grade inflation is massive at the college level. So now we're arguing that there's too many A's. And you're kind of asking me, what do we do about the lack of A's? So I have to kind of think. I would say that there are three main things that I've seen with my own children, and also then that I've seen inherited in college students. And one of them is more summer programs. So summer reading programs are especially essential, but summer programming, that's not mandatory, but that's optional and offered. They did this great program where they all read a book, right? And then one of the teachers would lead a discussion, like a video discussion or a Zoom discussion that was optional for students to go, you guys probably know this, and participate in over the summer when they were reading, I think it was the robot book.
Yeah,
so they could all kind of go. I think opportunities like that bring it into the home over using technology, in an astute way, like using Zoom to bring a teacher into the home over the summer to just talk about reading, have those summer programs available. I think it's really important. I think it bridges that distance between what happens when they leave and then they come back, which we know there's a lack of retention of information during that period. I'm sure you already know this is probably, but I would say partner with local educational resources. I mean, the library is awesome. The Whitensville Social Library is fantastic. I would love to see, even during the summer, having more opportunities to partner with those folks and see what kind of connections we can make for them to offer things like that. Not just obviously about reading. Reading isn't everything, but reading is at times, and I'm sure you would agree, the kind of foundation for other aspects of learning. And the last thing is, I'd love to think about how our curriculum might dabble in something called project-based learning. I think we do play around with it. I'd like to see us play around with it more. So, I have a cousin who teaches. She's a principal at a school in Texas, and she kind of transformed her school by asking the kids to put together almost like their version of an Excel spreadsheet for everything they wanted the school to buy. So you want a new soccer ball? Tell me why. So break it down for me. Tell me how much it's going to cost. Tell me where you think the money should come from. Tell me how we're going to raise it. Make an argument to me, and have the students come into her office and make that kind of argument. That's project-based learning, where you get folks to think outside of sitting at a table, but just think generally about what they might want. And think about how to have conversations with each other, right? Collaborative learning, teamwork, to kind of make that argument. I'd love to see us think a little bit more about that. It's a way of bridging real life experiences with what we do in a classroom.
Thank you. I would like to see, in terms of creative curriculum and updating curriculum to improve grades, I think the places we start are with the faculty, the teachers that are with our kids every day. They know sometimes, oftentimes better than the testing scores, why these kids are failing. And they would be the first stop. They all have team leaders. Let's poll them, find out what's working, what's not working. Have the team leaders meet with the admin, meet with the superintendent, or director of curriculum, and moving forward. I think that's the first step. Obviously, testing scores are important. That's where funding comes from. That's where there's a lot of important data that comes from scores. But let's start on the ground and start with the teachers and supporting them. The teachers need more support. They need more support staff in the classroom in order to be able to teach these kids and help their grade levels. We talked about there being special education in the classroom. Obviously, these teachers are only one teacher, sometimes two teachers in a classroom, that we have classroom sizes that are too big, and they are not getting enough support. Obviously, that's budgetary. We understand that, but we need to increase those. That's where we start to get these grade levels up. And the scores up. It's start on the ground with the teachers.
I'm gonna have to mirror some of what you said.
Well, then I'm honored.
But, start at where are we currently, and we know we have that data, and then where do we want to see ourselves? And of course, we want to see ourselves with every single child, of course, getting an A, and being successful and moving on to, their next level of education, whether it be in the trades or secondary education. But can we set some goals, incremental goals, between here and there, and try and set those goals, not too lofty, but attainable goals over time, maybe in this 5-year period, to be able to show that, of course, retention and the finances and being able to use some of the override money to improve and enhance the education incrementally over the next 5 years would help the town see citizens and parents and students and teachers, as well as the state, that we've done what we needed to do, use the resources that we were given in order to improve our community.
Thank you all. And we did discuss quite a bit about retention tonight, and I really do believe that's important. And the way I see it, there's kind of multiple subcategories that kind of play into that. And honestly, one of them I think is bullying. Now, I was a Northbridge High School graduate. I graduated in 2021. I went to NPS basically for my entire educational career, minus college. And during my time in the district, I remember bullying being a concern that many students would talk about, and was even a factor that led to multiple students leaving our district. And I've even had conversations with parents and students today that I still hear these same exact concerns. And I understand that the school committee doesn't manage the day-to-day operations of the school, but I'm curious if you would agree that we need to tackle bullying a little bit more. And B, if you do, are there any specific policies or broader changes that you would support to kind of help address that issue, or to support students who have been bullied within the school system? Pass it over to you.
So it's a big topic. It's a hot button topic. It's sort of everywhere. It starts when kids are little, and it even carries over into adulthood, into careers. It could be, you can be even bullied in your job by someone or a group of people, depending on, whatever it is someone picks that they decide they're going to bully you over. I think we've all been subject to bullying here and there in our lives. My current career in the public sector, we see it a lot. The epitome of bullying. Kids who've been bullied so much that they are now, committing crimes, attempting suicide, and some of them pretty successful at it. And so I think it needs to be something that's, I know it's in the forefront and we talk about it a lot, but it should be something that, you know, maybe, again, not to bring up another like student survey, but an anonymous survey. Ask students, how do they feel about bullying? Do they feel like they're subject to it every day, every hour? And then let's set a goal, again, incremental goals on decreasing the amount of bullying or where students are feeling that they're bullying. And I think making blanket policies over bullying is really important, but then handling the bullying on a case-by-case basis. You know, back to epigenetics and social determinants of health, where is it coming from? Are they doing it because they're insecure? Are they doing it because there's a lack of something somewhere in their life, whether it be at home or at school or in interpersonal relationships? You know, each child needs to be handled individually.
Thank you. First off, I was there at your 8th grade graduation where you spoke. Is that a student in the same grade? Bullying is definitely a problem in the world. We see it all day, every day on social media. We see it in the workplace. We see it in the school system. As a parent, I have heard lots of crying about being bullied from most of my children, except for the one who doesn't understand because he's a special needs student, so he doesn't understand the bullying. So it is prevalent in the school, as much as we have policies and all students are responsible for reading and signing the policy along with their parent every September at the beginning of the school year. I don't think it's for lack of wanting to stop the bullying. I think that the administration and the staff in the schools are on it daily. There are policies, the bathroom policies. That's where so much bullying happens in school. They have a policy about who can go into the bathroom, how many kids can be in a bathroom at the same time. We had a policy about bullying over social media. We have yonder pouches. No, kids can't access their phones throughout the school day. I do think that as creative ways come up to kind of curb these things, they are showing definitely decreases in bullying, especially the social media one with the underpouch. But I think we still need to be creative because it is still happening. There are still little pockets of the school where kids are being bullied, and again, that comes to support staff. I said it in the classroom, and it's not just the classroom, but the support staff throughout the school, and giving those staff members, the right training on how to deal with bullying and what to do with the victims of bullying as well as the perpetrators of the bullying. It's so many factors that are involved in it. Like we just heard, there's a lot of reasons for it. So do I have an answer to it? No. But there's lots of creative ways and a lot of different things that they are doing, and I think we just need to keep pushing forward.
Bullying is a absolute important issue that needs to be addressed, but I would say that it needs to be addressed from a few different directions, or maybe in a few different directions from a few different places. So the first thing is that you've probably heard this before, but power is insidious. So what that means is that people don't necessarily possess power, right? It floats around between us. Like, we have power here in the room, but maybe not one person holds it. Bullies like to pretend like they do, but if we recognize the nature of power, then we know how best to address it, which is to put it inside of other things that float around that space, like curriculum. So for instance, if you want to have a really strong anti-bullying policy, anti-bullying examples and behaviors and materials need to be woven into curriculum on all levels, right? We're doing ST math with the penguin. I don't remember the penguin's name.
Gigi.
Yeah, so Gigi might need to have some discourse about bullying, and you might need to think a little bit about how you apply bullies to the math equation that you're doing. This needs to be woven into every conversation at the basic fundamental level, not just treated as one side effect, so not just one issue, but how do we weave it into curriculum almost in the way that students don't notice, but that they're forced, right, to pay attention to. I would say 1, you put it in the curriculum. 2, You build really strong student government associations. When students have to go in front of their own peers and talk about these issues, massive things change. You have strong student government that you support. You create an opportunity, not necessarily where they're making policy, not necessarily where they make all the decisions, but where if you want to file a complaint, you can do that with your peers, and you can bring people to a place where they have to talk about it. So you have other students, right, sitting around talking about, what do we do about this issue, right? Obviously with guidance, obviously with oversight, but you give students the opportunity to engage in that problem themselves. So I would say you build strong student government. And then the last thing I would say is that, and you know, this is on an individual level, but I've found that bullies often don't recognize maybe what their own strengths are, and I think sometimes you can redirect. I think that when kids have no knowledge of their own self-confidence, of their own self-worth, of any aspect of them that they think is important, you know, that's sort of a sure telltale sign for how they're going to somehow push that off onto other kids, make other kids responsible for that. You find something that that young person is really good at, and you encourage them to do it. And this means an investment in extracurricular activities. It means an investment in high-impact practices. It means an investment in things that we can offer to kind of redirect that behavior and build self-worth in folks who are maybe trying to not or can't see that in themselves.
Thank you very much.
I completely agree. Bullying should be embedded in the curriculum, whether it's during the social emotional learning time block that is allotted for, especially in the early ages. There's something called restorative justice. I don't know if you've heard of that. And that's something that can start as early as preschool. And the thing about restorative justice is similar to the peers. The peers really tell the other students how they made them feel, and there's a talking stick, and it's a really safe way to have the students who are being bullied by this one person take back their power, and for them to talk. And there's different levels, and there's the whole group, and so it might not be a bullying situation, but every day that you have a circle, and there's common language, so all the way up from preschool to senior year. And they've done a lot of studies on the effectiveness of the positive impact of restorative justice, and that has really, in the districts who implement it, have seen a decrease in the bullying. There's healing circles, so if you were with another person who bullied you directly and you felt the teacher would, you know, have a facilitated conversation on how to solve that, heal that situation that happened. But I think training is important, common language, consistency, and just education, and holding kids accountable as well.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. And assuming everyone is satisfied with the questions, perfect. So with that, again, I will entertain any and all nominations right now. If there's more than one nomination, we will go to a roll call vote down the line.
I'll make a nomination. Make a nomination that we appoint Erin Meager.
Is there a second? Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Joe Leonard.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Is there a third nomination? Hearing none, we're going to go into a roll call vote. Going to start down here with the school committee members, and I'll jump to you. I'll jump to the Board of Selectmen. You need 5 out of 8 votes for an appointment tonight. Mr. Cowan, Ms. Leonard, or Ms. Meager?
Ms. Meager.
Ms. Booker?
Ms. Leonard.
Ms. Laporte?
Ms. Meager.
Mr. Ampagumian?
Meager.
Sorry.
Ms.
Mr.
Meager.
Ms. Leonard.
Mr. Paul, second Pauls.
Ms. Leonard.
And I am Ms. Meager. I believe that is
Yeah, it's 5.
That's fine.
5.
It's fine.
The appointment passes.
Okay.
Thank you all very much for your time this evening. It was a great slew of candidates. Thank you all very much. And thank you to the school committee for taking part.
I really meant what I said. I hope everybody will do stuff.
Absolutely. There are a number of vacancies that we truly do need some assistance and support for.
Why aren't you on it now?
I was on it and then
I'm so hungry
didn't run
tonight.
again.
I haven't eaten yet.
You shouldn't do that.
How much is left?
Do you just have a,
Agenda.
We got a few.
Either,
No, I understand.
either two members from this committee or one.
Thank you.
I think Russ did it last.
what's that? The bylaw, we still gotta.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that.
Yeah. No, I'm curious too.
Yeah. Oh, she does. Oh, that's that whole genre. All right.
Alrighty.
Oh, you staying there?
This is what it feels like to be a.
It's such a joke.
Can I sit there?
All right.
Go ahead.
Alrighty, back to it. We got a couple more things for tonight before we can adjourn. Citizens' comment and input. Is there anyone here for citizens' comment? Hearing none, we will move along down to discussions. Item 8, Bylaw Review Committee discussion concerning the need for 2 members appointed by the Board of Selectmen who may be but not need be members of the Select Board. As you all know, every 5 years, we look to basically reestablish the Bylaw Review Committee. We need 2 folks to potentially reach out to.
I'd love to make a suggestion. He did a wonderful job last time. Can we contact Bob Banning and have him?
I can reach out to him. I would first start, is there anyone that on the board?
I'll do it
wants to
again.
serve one of those 2 positions?
I'll do it again.
So do you want to reach out to Bob because you know him and I don't know him?
I guess I can.
Or I can have Linda do it.
I would have Linda do it, because he has a relation.
So my recommendation
Business
would be
relationship.
that you would appoint, well, it's a discussion, so we'll put it on for the next
Yeah.
meeting. In which we would appoint Russ, and then we'll see if Bob's ready to do it.
Because he did a terrific
Yep.
job. He's amazing.
Yep, so I'll have Linda reach out.
Awesome.
Done.
And that settles discussions. Does the town manager have anything tonight?
I just want to say that today I attended the Police Academy graduation of our 2 newest recruits, along with Chief Labrie and Lieutenant Noulette and Sergeant Brian Patronelli, and very excited recruits and their families, and we're looking forward to having them, so congrats to them. You'll see them soon.
Congrats to all. And then Selectmen's concerns for this evening, Selectman Ampagumian?
I had one, but I gotta think about it again.
Come back to you, Selectman
Yeah.
Collins.
No, I think what we need to do is have Jamie come up and
Bridge.
give his
Yeah.
newest update, because it's very different than what we expected.
Things
Yes,
have changed.
very much so. I'd be happy to give you an update on the Mendon Road Bridge. As I've been here a few times telling you, the notice of intent went out a few weeks ago, actually ahead of schedule, which was pleasantly surprised. The last meeting I had attended prior to them going out to bid, we were talking about a $1.2 million job that was going to take, in essence, 90 days, 60 to 90 days. Since that point, since it fell under the direction of the Mass DOT and fundage was available, they didn't contact us. And they decided to put another $1 million into the project to get new guardrails and a bunch of other stuff with the bridge while money was available, and since the bridge was going to be closed. They incorporated that work into the bid that was put out. Since then, we were contacted and said it is now a $2.2 million job that could take up to 15 months. Now, that 15-month window does not mean that the bridge will be closed for 15 months, because, like I said, they added jobs, other stuff on there like guardrails and other things that as soon as the bridge can possibly be opened safely, they're looking to open it. The contract is for 15 months, but it does not mean the bridge will be closed for 15 months. They will be on site in the next couple of weeks, the company that has the bid. So once they get on site, we'll have more direct updates as they go, and I'll be happy to share them with you as I find out once the actual contractors are on site.
Thank you very much.
That's it. No, I figured it'd make it easy and get it done.
Not the best news in the world, but anytime the state wants to give us another $1 million for bridges,
It'll be
tough to
done
say
right.
no to it.
It'll be done right.
Yes.
Thank you. And Selectman Paulus?
Yes, I have one, Jamie. Just for our friends who live in the John Circle, Del Mar neighborhood, I know that that's not a DPW project, but if you could give an update if you know about when that might be
Absolutely. I
done.
was contacted last week. They were hoping to be on site this week. They were waiting for the weather. They're going to be doing 3 of those roads curb to curb. The rest of them, they're gonna make some repairs, and then we're gonna use some of our funds that we have for Chapter 90 to pave the remaining roads. So by the end of the construction season, that neighborhood will be paved.
Awesome. All right, thank you. That's it for me.
All set.
I have nothing this evening unless Selectman Fagumi, do you have anything?
Yeah, just an update on the various road projects we have.
Yeah,
How's, you know, Church Ave doing, the Sutton Street intersection,
Sutton
Church
Street,
Street extension.
right now, Sutton Street is still under the review of Mass DOT. They're at the 25% that got accepted. Now we're going into the 50th and 75% design. That's a Mass DOT tip project. Church Ave, the Phase 2 of the CDBG will be going out to bid in the next couple of weeks. Our consultant put together that package, and they'll be putting that out to bid, so construction will start sooner. That'll go from where they left off and finish all the underground work, and then we already have our application for Phase 3 being put together, and that will be the complete repaving of it. That would be next year. The water line's still going on Mendon Road. They are nearing the end of the water main installation, which means they're gonna start working on services. All the water line main is almost in. All the hydrants are in. They'll start the services, so that means the roads won't be closed. It's easier now. It should be on the side of the road because they already did all of the hookups to the edge of the road, so the roads won't be closed. It'll be reopened. I just went out to bid for the other bridge projects, the 2 arch bridges on Church Street Extension and Linwood Ave. The state gave us $630,000 for that, just awaiting bids for that. That'll be ongoing through the next few months, the bid process, so once we get that nailed down, I'll have an update. Our roads program came back very favorable. We'll be starting on Linwood Ave after the 18th. I didn't want any construction there for the fireworks. They're gonna finish up Linwood Ave. They're gonna be doing the Whiten Elm Street neighborhood, that's being repaved, as well as, what else do we have this year? We have Pudding Street that will be repaved. Walmart intersection is the big one that we're gonna take care of this year. It's gonna take care of the entire intersection of Walmart. Working with our contractor, we're down on site. We're probably gonna be doing the milling during the day, looking at night pave for there, just because the amount of trucks and traffic there, night paving seems the way to go. Other projects we have ongoing, I think that's about all the road projects, unless I'm missing anything off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Any update on that contract for where the leaf recycling is?
They are already on site, and they've already started separating everything out. They've pulled a lot of stuff out. They're setting up a new drop-off area. They'll be setting up their screener to start making the compost usable for them. They're gonna be setting up an area within the next few weeks for residents to pick up screened compost. It'll be down there for free. At that point, once that's all cleaned out, we're gonna have an area completely separated now that people will be able to drop off and be able to maintain it well, so it won't fall into the same situation that's been down there for the last, I couldn't tell you how many years. I know 13 myself, but prior to that, I don't know. It won't look like that anymore. We're gonna have an area where there's drop-off and cleanup done in one specific spot, so there's not stuff everywhere, to keep it cleaner, neater, and moved out. And if you're looking for an update on 122, the state is supposed to be starting after July 1st, the sidewalks this year. They're gonna be replacing all the sidewalks on Route 122, and I am told next year, providing all the sidewalks get done and weather cooperates, they'll be starting to repave 122.
Thank you. All set?
Yeah.
Perfect. And again, I have nothing, and entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.